Welcome back to Belahdan. And you know, Muslims have an image problem in this country. Most of the information, mainstream media, talking about the conflict between Arab and Jew and Arab, Muslim and Jew and Arab and Israeli. And it's really never been that way. And I mean, a huge history of Muslim and Jew living together, coexistency. And this is all the history. I think the conflict in the Middle East kind of put a dam on these things, and people talk about this historical and biblical conflict. But now, you know, our guest today we really has a very exciting job here of trying to talk about those Muslims in Albania and Bosnia that they were saving Jews during the Holocaust or during World War II. We have here Professor Ellen Kennedy. She is Executive Director of World Without Genocide. And she is now talking about, welcome to Belahdan first.
Thank you very
Ellen.
much.
Thank you so much. I'll call you Ellen because we were colleagues and we teach together. But this is really something we don't see in the mainstream media. You know, this is, if it covered probably 10 seconds or so. But, you know, from my reading of this is really a recent history, something pragmatic, something happened, and we can see it, we can talk to the people who did it. And so tell us a little bit about how did you stumble to this Muslim saving Jew during the World War II?
There's an amazing photographer, a Jewish man named Norman Gershon, and he heard about the fact that during World War II, in Albania, a heavily Muslim country, there actually were more Jews at the end of World War II than there were at the beginning. Almost every single Jew in Albania was saved by their Muslim brothers and sisters in that country. And he explored this issue and traveled to Albania and met the Muslims who saved their Jewish neighbors. He took pictures, he documented their stories, and it's an exhibit now that has traveled around the world. We're bringing it to William Mitchell College of Law, where World Without Genocide is housed. And it will be up beginning on April 10th through June 30th. This exhibit is called BESA. The word is spelled B-E-S-A, and it means Code of Honor. Mm-hmm. And this honor code that was so much a part of the Albanian Muslim culture is what inspired the Muslims to save their Jewish friends.
It was interesting because, you know, from my reading, they were driven by the code to save the Jew, more than were driven by, you know, their religion or whatever. But it seems like they are matched. And where are you, or who are those Albanians? It seems like mostly were in villages and small towns.
They were ordinary Albanians from every walk of life.
Very poor, farmers.
Many were very poor. Some had little businesses. Some were professional people. But some of the statements that they made when the photographer interviewed them, there's one man who said, "We would sooner have our son killed than break our besa." And another person said, "It seems strange to ask why my father did what he did for this Jewish family. Besa is a tradition for the entire nation of Albania."
It's a pride, is delivering, helping who's needed, that kind of value tradition.
Exactly. Another one said, "All of us villagers were Muslims. We were sheltering God's children under our besa." But someone else refers specifically to the Quran. The Quran teaches us that all people, Jews, Christians, Muslims, are under one God. It's so beautiful. We have, I think it's about 50 stories of Muslims or their descendants. Now, the elderly ones, of course, are no longer with us. And every one of them felt that they could no sooner betray the Jews than they could betray one of their own.
They didn't take a second thought or thought the risk?
They never thought about it.
Assess the risk or anything like that?
No, they got false passports for those.
So saving that's a lot of work. How do you save somebody that the Nazis after them?
That's right. Many of them disguised the Jews. They took them into their own homes.
Even different names.
They gave them different names. They gave them Albanian clothing. They made them part of their actual family. And some of these Albanian Muslims housed the Jews for the duration of the war.
It takes a village to save a Jew, that kind of thing.
Indeed.
But how do you keep it secret? It must be the whole village.
The entire
not just
village.
a family or person.
No, even the police kept it secret from the Nazis. Every single Albanian Muslim felt that Besa was just what they were.
But those were very poor people, farmers.
Yes.
So how did they manage? You know, you get a family. Did you give it? You take one, you take two. Did they separate the family? How did they physically keep those Jews with them, living with them, eating, drinking, sleeping?
They shared everything, and some of them were fortunate. They had their own little gardens or farms, and they were able to use their own produce. The entire community participated in sharing what little they had.
And what happened to those Jews after the war was over?
Many of the Jews left. Many of the Jews settled in Israel. And for some of these Muslims, they lost contact. But some of the others reported, here's just an excerpt from a wonderful story. In 1995, with the help of another righteous person, we made contact with Rochella, a woman. She and her sisters and parents had left for Israel. And this Muslim says, in 1998, I traveled to Israel to be reunited. Oh, this chokes me up.
Really?
With Rochella.
I thought the other way around, you know.
Isn't this beautiful?
Yeah,
And I met her two sons and her grandchild.
So the Albanian, the family was saving the Jew, went to Israel.
Went to Israel. Went to Israel.
So I mean, I know as an Arab and a Muslim, and also Israel has I mean, when you look at the dynamic in the EU history, and a lot of Muslims would say, well, Israel is doing the same thing that the German were doing to the Palestinians. So there is a dynamic and dimension that people will look at this. You know, people, victims are victims.
But there also are those people that at our organization we call upstanders. Everyone knows what a bystander is, the person who knows something terrible is
Watch
happening.
television.
That's right. But in every community there are the upstanders. There are those people who know what's morally right. They have the strength of their convictions. And there was a remarkable story that was put together by a man in Bosnia, by a Jewish man in Bosnia. And he wrote a book. The man's name is Eli Tauber. And I was fortunate to meet Eli Tauber a few years ago when I was in Bosnia. The book is called When Neighbors Were Real Human Beings.
Oh, wow.
And this man collected the story of people in Bosnia, of Muslims there who rescued Jews during the Second World War.
So what's happening in Bosnia too?
In Bosnia as well. And then what Eli Tauber told me was that during the war in Bosnia in the 1990s, when Serbs, when Serbs and Muslims were at war with one another, there were Jews in Bosnia who rescued their neighbors as well.
You mean it's really, not fascinating, but I think what happened to people at that moment when they become this wonderful Albanian that's saving the Jew, or those people who are killing the Jew, or people who are killing the Muslim, or all that things. So the potential of violence is there and potential of goodness is there.
We all have that same potential, as you say, but I think it's really important for those of us who believe that the goodness can triumph to help create an atmosphere that can support that, so that people know that even if they're alone in their own little community doing what's morally right and what's good, there are other people in the world. At Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, they have recognized more than 25,000 people around the world, Muslims, Christians, and others, who stood up and who saved Jews. So everywhere in the world,
there is some
righteous.
goodness. I know, run to us that the exhibit that you have, and this we only have half a minute here.
And the exhibit will be up from mid-April through the end of June at William Mitchell College of Law in St. Paul. On April 30th, we'll have a special gallery reception.
It's open to the public?
Open to the public, free. We want everyone to come and see the exhibit. And then the evening of April 30th, we're showing a film about the photographer and his journey with an Albanian Muslim to Israel to complete the story.
Professor Kennedy. Thank you so much. It's a great story, and wish you luck with your exhibit. And we'll have, you know, this is conclude our show. We'll see you next week, and good luck with the rest of the week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all.